Nobody wants to use AI created music. The Library of Congress has ruled that anything created with AI is not copyrightable.
How would artists make their music more findable? I want to come up in the searches. I want my music being used, whether it's Bachelor or whatever. Well, hey guys, I want to welcome composer, artist coach, and music supervisor Jody Friedman to this call. How you doing, buddy?
Hey man, composer. I am a composer, but I really hear that. So you reminded me of that. That's true. I do.
You are, man. Well, when you told me on that sync that came through where you're like, you know what? I'm just going to pick up my guitar and I'm just going to shred something on this. I was like, this guy's the real deal here, man. He's not just the business, he's also the artist, which is why you're so successful.
Yeah, man. You got to do it all. I mean, I made a choice a long time ago that I was not going to wait for approval from anybody. I was
Yeah.
going to take my life into my own hands, and I was in that waiting for approval room for so long,
Yeah.
sending out demos and trying to get signed to a record deal and trying to get a publishing deal. It's like, playing in bars in the background. Like, what am I waiting for?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was a conscious choice.
Well, how long have you been supervising for?
I started music supervising. My first job as a music supervisor was in 2008.
Wow.
So almost 20 years. Yeah. What, 17 years this year?
Yeah. I wasn't even really aware of it until 2012. There's this one manager is like, "Hey man, you need to get your songs in sync and whatnot." And I think actually that might have been, yeah, around that time. And I feel like that was like the golden age before like The Secret was kind of out. Would you say that's correct?
I'd actually say the golden age was 2006 to 2008. It was a great time. And that's when I was starting as a sync agent, as a licensing agent. And there were only so many music supervisors. So it was pretty easy just to call them up and let them know what I do, what I offer, ask if I can come by their office or their studio, bring them a coffee, anything just to learn from them. So that's how I learned on the job. Now, I mean, 2012, definitely I think there weren't any, I'm trying to think back, man. There were a few programs at that time. I believe UCLA had the extension program finally implemented at that time.
Yeah.
But that wasn't in 2006, 2007, 2008. There were no music supervision courses or anything like that. Now there's a whole path, a whole career path.
Yeah.
If you want to be a music supervisor, there are schools that teach you how to be a music supervisor. And of course, we have our programs too.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is a path that you can take. So that didn't exist. I fell into it. I was very lucky.
What is it that music supervisors do? Like, give us like the kind of Cole's notes for everybody.
No, we don't do much. What do music supervisors do? A lot of things. And it depends on the person. It depends on the job. It depends on their skill set. Depends on the requirements of the client. But a music supervisor's job is really to oversee anything music related and sometimes sound related, like sound design, mixing, tracking of instruments. If there needs to be an orchestra involved, the music supervisor's job is to get that together and get it situated. If you need to record songs or pre-record, they call them pre-records. If there's like a musical, a film that has live music, you got to coordinate the sessions and go in the studio. So that's kind of I think more of the hands-on pre-production work that goes into it. Oftentimes, music supervisors and you're going to hear my dogs growling. They're like wrestling on the floor here. But oftentimes, a music super is brought in post-production because they've made the film. If there isn't, live music in it, if there is, God help them if they didn't bring a music supervisor in early on.
Yeah.
But if there isn't, it's usually in post where they realize, oh, I can't use this song without permission, or this song's going to cost what?
Yeah.
I need some help. Who do I reach out to? And then hopefully they know somebody who says you need a music supervisor because
Yeah.
oftentimes they'll try to do it themselves. And by them, I mean producers. They'll try to clear songs themselves. They don't have the relationships with the publishers, the labels. They get raked over the coals for pricing.
Yeah.
They don't know how to communicate with them. And when publishers or labels interact with a producer who doesn't understand how to communicate, it creates a sense of distrust from the publishers and labels. So they're going to have their guard up. When
Yeah.
it's someone they know who understands the business, who's going to facilitate the process and make sure that everything's handled, above board, um, if there's no infringements,
Yeah.
um, they're more likely to work with you,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. You know what's wild? You made me think of when we got a song in the Olympics last year, an email came to my email from, I don't even remember who it was, but it wasn't unprofessional. It wasn't necessarily professional. I just wasn't really sure. And so I just forwarded it to my agent, and like I'm so glad I did. And they might have contacted the agent as well too. But because I'm not, doing the day-to-day getting, the licenses, I don't even know how much to charge. And I wouldn't even have thought to ask how much we got, because we got like, I think it was 150K plus. And I know they
Wow.
even asked for more than that. And I remember like when we thought we are going to get more, and the agent was like, look, I'm trying to get as much as I can. But like, just having somebody do that, having a professional, like got me 10 times more. Like I probably would have sold myself so short and devalued myself, right? So
Yeah, you might have quoted like 10K thinking I'm gonna get $10,000 out of this. That's a win, right?
yeah,
100%, man. And that's a mistake independent musicians make all the time. So it's a really good point to bring up. Having representation or understanding the market and the market rates, I
yeah,
think that's something that we pride ourselves in offering to our students when they take our program. I cover with them what the rates are for films and TV shows, which are different than ads and trailers. Video games are different. Podcasts, web series are different.
yeah,
And then, of course, I know we'll probably get into this, but it's relevant now. So, in our community, our Sync Titan community, it's called Sync Titan, we share briefs. As you know, you're a member of that
yeah,
community.
yeah,
And by seeing those briefs, you start to see, oh, these are what ads are paying.
yeah,
These are what TV shows are paying. It's not, I mean, it is about getting the placement, but it's really about learning that market. And
yeah,
that's how sync agents and label heads and publisher heads, they learn the market
yeah,
by seeing what the market requests. That's the only way to do it.
yeah, yeah. No, big time. And I'll make sure I put links below their stuff, guys. And it's interesting because like I remember I told you I got a League of Legends thing just recently.
Yeah.
And at first it's like, oh, it was a big one, but then I told you it was just social media, so it was a lot lower than, a typical thing because like, uh social media, podcast, movie, ad, commercial, trailer, sports thing, they're all different rates, and some pay a lot
100%.
more than others. So
Yeah.
you're working on The Bachelor right now, aren't you? Are you still working on that?
Yeah, we're on Bachelor in Paradise right now. It's summertime. So next is the Golden Bachelor and the Golden Bachelorette. And yeah, and then next, probably January, is the Bachelor again, and then the Bachelorette, and it just recycles. We just finished season 29 of The Bachelor. It's been on for 29 seasons. It's a
Jeez.
long running program, and clearly a guilty pleasure a lot of people have watching The Bachelor.
Yeah,
And I mean, I'm watching it now, and I mean more as a producer, like consuming it as a producer instead of a consumer. I'm
yeah,
watching
yeah,
it to understand the tone and to do my job better. Yeah, it's a great show. It's a great project. They have a lot of good music in it.
how are you
Uh,
finding the music?
yeah, I mean, it's a combination of things. Oftentimes I'm reaching out to the labels and the publishers, the majors,
Okay.
the indie majors. So the majors would be like BMG, Warner Chappell, Cobalt, Sony. Um, Now it's Hypnosis, which I think was just purchased by Sony, so they're now part of Sony. And then the indie majors are all the sub labels like oh my gosh, I'm blanking on 'em right now.
That's all good. That's all good.
It's Monday. But all the sub labels and the sync agents, and then the libraries sometimes get pulled in for lower searches. We'll find them, we'll find ideas. Sometimes, like the one you mentioned, we needed a cover of Sea of Love. We
Yeah,
posted that in our community, and a bunch of people submitted, and we ended up landing the spot for one of our sync titans there. There's all kind of ways. Any way I can. My job is to find them the right idea for the scene, and or to secure the rights for a song that they're already wanting to use. Like We
Gotcha.
use Bad Bunny, we use Cardi B, we use Carl G.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they're traveling in The Bachelor. They're at different locations. So they wanted, this is a funny one. So they wanted something authentic to Madrid, to Spain, when they went to Spain. So I went and pulled a bunch of ideas, authentic Spanish artists or with Spanish heritage,
Yeah.
and they ended up going with Cardi B. Cardi B is Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and look, there's Spanish immigrants who came to Puerto Rico, like there's some
Yeah.
tie in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but sometimes it's also about using what's popular for that show because it serves a certain audience that responds well to popular
It's
music.
got like a brand already, so it's like there's almost an expectation of what would go with this. So,
Yes.
how would artists make their music more findable? If, for me, I want to come up in the searches. I want my music being used, for these kinds of things, or whether it's Bachelor or whatever. How do I make myself more findable?
It's a good question. If you're not with a rep, like a sync agent or a library, you need to get with one. But before you do that, you need to do your metadata. You need to get your metadata all in order.
Okay,
Metadata are,
let's go really simple first. What is a sync agent and what
yeah,
is a library?
yeah, sorry, I go right into it. Right, it's such a niche. A sync is the word for a music licensing agent. It used to just be called a music licensing agent, and over time, the word sync became slang. Sync means synchronization, so you're syncing or synchronizing music to picture.
Mhm.
And a sync agent's job is to represent, have all their contracts in order just like a label or a publisher would, but they represent talent. So a sync agent, and there's only so many around town. Now that I think there's some in Nashville and some in Texas and New York now too, but their job is to license songs, to pitch songs to projects, to meet with music supervisors, to meet with editors, to try to facilitate placements for their roster.
So they're like the in between like me as an artist and you as a music supervisor. They're like the go between.
Yeah, because for me, it makes more sense for me to reach out to an agent who has a big roster. I know they know what they're doing. They have their T's crossed and I's dotted, right? They have all their ducks in a row, all the legal contracts in place. I trust them. I've worked with them for years. It makes sense for me to go to someone I trust, then go directly to an artist and have that conversation. Not saying that doesn't happen. It does happen, but I would say it's like a 50-50 gamble when you go right to an artist that they're going to have everything sorted in a way that we're able to move quickly. And
Yeah.
typically we need to move fast.
Yeah.
So working with us,
And meaning sorted, sorry to cut you off, but like we're talking about like percentages. Like if I wrote a song, I didn't write my song by myself. I wrote it with a producer. And so there's probably 50-50 publishing. Can you rep all those shares, and just secure the
can you
licensing?
rep them or can you like say, hey, this person controls 50% of the publishing?
Right.
That's one way to have it sorted. Some people, I would ask the question, so do you control the master or the publishing? And they don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Truly, like they just don't. They're like, I just make music. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So, having it sorted is understanding the business is what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And same with the master. Like, do you own the master rights? I mean, yes. They say yes. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Did you finance it? Well, I mean, my buddy, he recorded it, and my other friend came in and played guitar on it.
And that's when you're just like, okay, I'm gonna go to someone who knows what.
Yeah, like okay, well, do they own it? Oh, we never really had that discussion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, you created a piece of property.
Yeah.
These people, were they hired guns? Did you pay them? Were you the record label that was paying them to come in, or
Right.
did you guys just do it as a band essentially and
Yeah.
say, hey, we're just going to share this equally?
And this is what an agency, because I know when I give a song to an agent, they ask for all this information. They have like an intake form where they get you to fill it all out, like so that when come to them and say, I want this song, they're like, the paperwork's already done. It's like I guess they call it a one stop, right? Like they don't have to.
Yeah, it's one step if it's both sides. If it's 100% publishing and 100% the master, and I can go to one place to license both copyrights, that's considered a one stop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, sorry, I cut you off there too. What was it about what a library is?
A music library is essentially acting kind of like a sync agent, but they usually have larger catalogs and they have rate cards. And the libraries are typically one stops, so they do have master and publishing, whereas sync agents aren't always a one stop. They might have a mix. Some just they have master only, some publishing only, and some are one stop. With music libraries, it's going to be one stop, easy clear, which means it's easy to clear. They have systems in place, we can move fast, and they have rate cards, and a lot of them have blanket deals with certain networks or certain production companies.
Yeah.
So if I'm on a project for Warner Brothers and Bachelor's a great example, they have locked rates with certain libraries. I don't even have to reach out to the library. I just go and pick a track off their website. I know how much it's going to cost production. So those are rate cards, and those are usually, almost always from music libraries.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And this is what you're talking. And so if an artist wants to become findable, we need to either get my songs with an agent, get into one of these libraries, and then you started to talk about it, metadata. Do you want to go into that?
Well, yeah, we could talk about metadata a little bit, but I will back up for a moment. The
Yeah.
first thing is that the music has to be undeniable.
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to get signed to a label or a publisher or with a library or with a sync agent, your music has to be really freaking good.
Yeah.
And I'd say about 95% of the music that comes across my desk, and I'm not saying this to be a jerk, it's just not. 5% is, hey, this is ready.
Yeah.
So 95% of people watching this episode right now think their music is undeniable when it's not.
Yeah. I appreciate it. And it's true, man. It's just the honest truth. And it's not sync ready, let alone
It's not sync ready. Yeah, that's
let alone mix ready or lyric ready.
well, and let me clarify about that. You don't need a hit song to get a sync, right? So when I say undeniable, I mean undeniable for sync. You want to write the best song you can, but at the same time for sync, it just has to be well produced. It's likely going to be used in the background on a TV show or in a film. The featured uses happen, but they're less common. So it doesn't have to be a hit because the lyrics, they might not even be used. I mean, you've experienced that, right? I know for a fact, some of your alternate mixes or instrumentals have been used right?
Yeah. Sometimes my vocals not used much, like one word like legend, or you know what I mean? It's like it's like, what about all the lyrics, man? And that's one thing when I've been writing songs with guys, they'll be like some of the producers are like, don't get too caught up in the weeds of the verses because that's probably not going to get used anyway. Just like get it done for sync. And again, this is very different than writing a song. And obviously, I try to write stuff that can work as an artist and for sync. But like you said, man, what about this whole AI junk? And
Oh
I
no.
heard like a lot of supervisors and just the industry is actually putting a good fist against it. Like they don't want AI music. What's your take on all that?
No, nobody wants to use AI created music. The Library of Congress has ruled that anything created with AI is not copyrightable. So in music licensing, we're licensing copyrights. So I ran into this with an artist of mine recently. They wanted to create, or they apparently were creating essentially derivative works of songs that I'm the publisher and master holder on because they're in my library, which means they're with APM Music or they're with 411 Music or Sonoton or BMG, all my partners around the world. And they were taking them to AI and manipulating the melodies and having AI do a different version with different lyrics. And I was just like, first off, you can't do that because we're the publisher, we're the master owner of that song.
Yeah.
Those are derivative works that you're creating. Secondly, they technically aren't copyrightable, so you can't claim copyright to that.
Yeah.
So there's no music supervisor that's going to touch those.
Yeah.
And now I know people are using AI to release stuff to the DSPs, and I guess more power to them. Technically, they don't own those masters.
Yeah.
So when it comes time to license it in my world in sync, it's just there's nothing you can do with that.
Yeah.
And I know people are going to do it anyway, right? Because people are going to say, well, it's going to get better and better and nobody will be able to tell.
Yeah.
Okay. Someone's going to get made an example of. That's eventually what's going to happen.
Yeah.
try to sneak it through. And there are programs that are in development to detect not only if something was made from AI, they run it through a process and said this was not made by a human.
Yeah.
They can also tell which songs that piece was pulling from and sourcing it from. So then you're going to have all these owners saying, yo, that was my song that
Wow.
was derived to create that piece. This
Wow.
is why nobody wants to touch AI created works.
That's so good because you're right. Like whether it's ChatGPT or whatever these AI things they're plugged into, they're getting samples from a source somewhere, and that could be pulling from Spotify anywhere. And you pull from a million things to give you your hybrid song sound lyric, and like yeah, it's not really owned.
Yeah,
That's good, man. That's good. So there you heard it, folks. Stay clear of AI.
yeah.
Dude, I'm a big fan of the Avengers stuff. I see this on the wall. I see Won't You Be My Neighbor. I gotta know. People are gotta be wondering like what's the story for those
Yeah,
films.
I had some sound design in the Avengers trailer.
Sick.
So in the Endgame trailer, I think we had Captain Marvel too, and some. I've had a lot of placements in
Let's
throughout
go.
the year. Won't You Be My Neighbor was a film. It's the one I'm most proud of. I love The Bachelor. Don't get me wrong, but that film, if you haven't seen that film, get a box of Kleenex,
Oh, really?
sit down and watch it. Yeah, it's a
Mr.
fantastic.
Rogers, eh?
It was created by. There were two reasons I loved working on that project. I got to work with an Oscar-winning director,
Yeah,
Morgan Neville,
yeah,
who is a brilliant documentarian, brilliant
yeah,
filmmaker. And of course, it was about, I believe, one of the most impactful human beings to actually have lived on this planet while I was alive.
wow,
Actually, I didn't meet him personally, but when I was working at CNN, he was a guest. We interviewed him, and I was working the teleprompter while he was over there doing his interview.
wow.
And he was a real deal, man. He believed that every child, which we're all just big children, deserve to be heard and seen and loved just the way they are.
Yeah,
And, you know, he was just a brilliant guy. It's a great film.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll definitely go check that out. So, what are some of the common mistakes you see with artists trying to get into sync and just break into this game? And I
Yeah.
know obviously because you help and coach a lot of people with the sync Titan and the elite coaching. Share about that.
Yeah. There's a few things. One is that most artists think they can treat sync the way they've treated the music industry. What
Mm,
I mean by that is in the music industry, you're taught just get your music out there,
yeah,
get it heard, pass out CDs or send MP3s, just
yeah,
send it
yeah,
right to the decision makers. That's true. You do have to get it to the decision makers, the music supervisors, the sync agents, the libraries, the editors, the producers. You have to get it to them, but that's the last step. And the mistake artists tend to make is they do that right away because they're excited and
mm,
they want the placement and they think this is how it works in the music business and this is how it's going to work in sync. And it's not how it works in sync. If I'm on a project and you come to me and I meet you on the street like, oh, you're on The Bachelor, here's my CD. What I'm going to put this on you and see what you think. What do you think's the first thing going through my mind?
it's like you haven't even asked me what I'm looking for, what kind of music I'm looking for. Like,
100%.
like,
Like,
and that would be my first question to music supervisor. Like first of all, number one, what are you working for, and or what are you working on, and then what are you looking for? And you would maybe tell me, oh, I'm looking for some hip hop, in the style of Kendrick Lamar and Cardi B, or I'm looking for some kind of like alternative indie rock kind of vibe, instrumental stuff.
yeah,
And here's my oh, I got my phone. Here's
yeah,
my CD full of I don't know, folk
yeah, yeah.
and stuff. And it's
Country.
just like, well, I just basically wasted my CD and wasted your time. And it's like, as
And
opposed, sorry, you go.
well, no, you wasted a moment where you could have left an impression and started a relationship with somebody
Yeah,
that can last a long time.
yeah,
That's the big, you nailed it. That is the biggest mistake. I mean,
yeah,
and it, not to mention all the other stuff. Like, is it one stop? Do you own the rights? It's just like, here's my CD. So
yeah,
it's very different. So I mean, that's why we created the sync placement formula. There's a formula
Yeah.
that leads to placements. And there's 4 steps, and the last step is getting your music heard. But if
Yeah.
you don't follow the first 3 steps, then you're lost.
Yeah. Yeah. How can people find out about these steps? What's the program you guys got going on? Are you guys doing like a challenge or something like that, or a class master class?
Yeah, well, we have a guide. We have a pocket guide, which is not on my desk right now, and I don't think you can
Okay.
see it, but it's right over there, and it's called the License Your Songs to Film, TV, and Ads Guide.
Okay.
And it's a free guide. It teaches you the sync placement formula. You can get it at the links that you'll include below, right?
Yep. I'll put links
Um,
below for it.
yeah. So you can grab it there, and that's the best place to start. For anybody coming into our world, that's the best place to start. We have a success path that we've built. It starts with the guide. After the guide, if it's right for you, you can take our Sync Ready Challenge. And then a couple times a year right now, we open up Sync Placement Academy.
Hmm.
And that's the full framework of music licensing. It's a sync placement formula in depth, taught by myself and my partner, Michael Elsner, who teaches it from the composer producer perspective. Michael's licensed over 3,000 of his own works.
Yeah.
I've licensed thousands of other people's works with mine occasionally throw in there, right? So we come at it from 2 different perspectives, and it really is the most comprehensive program on the market. So
Yeah.
yeah, Sync Placement Academy. And with that, we actually have, I don't know when people are watching this, but coming up, we have something. And we also have a community that you get access to called Sync Titan. And the community, and we're giving you everything. It's like anything you need from challenges in songwriting and production. We're actually bringing our relationships to you. So we're bringing in guest music supervisors because everybody wants to meet music supervisors. So
That
we're
is
bringing
that
them.
is invaluable, by the way. The interviews, like, and then you are basically give artists the opportunity to like get their songs in those libraries with some of those people, or just the briefs, like, and seeing like just what are you looking for, like honestly, for me, sometimes it's not overwhelming, but it's like it really is eye opening to see like, do I have something that fits that? And I try to be very picky. You know what I mean? Like I don't try and if you're looking for like even if it's rock, like either I'm going to submit you rock or hip hop, and but it's certain styles of rock or certain niches of hip hop, and I don't have West Coast hip hop. I don't have certain styles. You know what I mean? And so I'll be very picky and not submit to the briefs. I feel like that's another common mistake.
That's really
Artists
smart.
like they're lying to themselves almost. It's like,
Yeah, you see a lot of people who haven't been doing it as long as you, a lot of artists just starting, they look at the opportunities with blinders on.
yeah,
So they try to make the brief fit their music
yeah,
instead of asking the question, is my song really right for this?
yeah,
Because they just
yeah,
see the excitement. Oh, like you called it, like, oh, they need West Coast hip hop. Well, I do hip hop. Let's send it. Instead
yeah,
of thinking,
yeah.
oh, but it's not really West Coast, is it?
It's
I
not
guess,
90s, it's not 90s boom bap, or whatever,
yeah,
or like it's very like specific needs. Like my eyes have really been opened, and I'm not trying to be everything anymore. Like
yeah.
that's what I've realized. Like I've got my lane, and sure, I'll like go outside and try things and write with other people to bring my own flavor. And like what I'm trying to get out of is like I don't even necessarily have to be the artist necessarily. I can just be the writer. I can just songwrite and get someone else to to sing it. You know what I mean? Like there's so many ways I feel like we can get involved in this.
100%, man. You nailed it. You don't have to be everything. People are going to remember you for adding value to what they do. And if that means, hey, I don't do that, but I know someone who does,
Yeah.
then they'll remember you more than they'll
Yeah.
remember the person that you referred them to because you're helping them do their job.
Do you think that's valuable in the idea of someone like is there certain like obviously people like you hit up because like they crushed a certain style or a certain thing?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's been very, very few people that claim they can do everything that really do everything.
Yeah.
Even the ones that do, there's certain genres that they gravitate to more than others naturally because
Yeah.
that's where their heart lies, like they're
Yeah.
drawn to that. So it comes out in the music. So and
Yeah.
we've talked about hip hop a lot here, but I think it's important for anyone watching to understand that it's not about one genre. It's about the genre of film or the project or the scene or what's happening in that project. And
Yeah.
think about all the TV shows around the world and all the different locations they take place in.
Yeah.
The genres are endless. Like
Yeah.
I've seen some really odd requests, like that Mongolian band. What's it called? Like Who or something? The Who,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mongolian metal.
Yeah.
Like I've seen that come up. I've seen like uh, Armenian Turkish funk music for
Yeah.
a program I supervised called Breakfast, Lunch, Dinner with
Yeah.
Chef David Chang, and took place in Turkey. And
Yeah.
Morgan Neville was the producer, the director, and he wanted Turkish Armenian funk, which I didn't even know what that was. And I started listening to it. And I'm like, this is freaking awesome. It's
Yeah.
like 1970s psychedelic music created by Turkish musicians, and
Yeah.
it had Turkish flavor to it, but it was still like psychedelic funk rock. So there's these random little pockets that you never know exists in music,
Yeah.
but it was needed for that episode because of someone's creative taste and because it took place in Turkey. So my point is, it's not just a one size fits all. It's also not. There's no question. People come into our world saying, "Well, I write this," and I don't think there's really a need for that.
Right.
I mean, I can't think of a genre that there's no need for in sync. Even spoken word comes up every so often. Now, if that's all you do, you're going to be very limited on
Right.
where it'll place, but
Yeah.
it does come up. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things, Michael, your partner, I feel like one of my favorite things that I heard him say was, do research and stop watching TV, stop watching movies and start listening to them and start
100%.
studying, like what is what's going on out there if you want to get your song in there and ask yourself, do I have anything like this,
Yeah,
Um,
it's like anything. If you're wanting to grow in social media, you got to watch and study like a producer, not like a consumer. And
yeah.
with sync, if you're getting in the sync business, you're not writing for radio, you're not listening to how they write for radio. You're listening to the music used in the programs
Yeah.
so you can figure out where you fit in. And oftentimes, when it comes to TV, it's the shows you watch because
Woo.
you're drawn to those genres that resonate with you, and oftentimes your music, the style you create, tends to fit not all the shows, but some of the shows
Yeah.
you watch. You'd be
Yeah.
surprised.
Dude, I
Yeah,
love it. Well, dude, I'll put a link below the guide. The guide's free too, isn't it? It's a free
yeah,
download.
yeah,
Yeah.
100% free.
Well,
Yeah.
guys, have no excuse. Get the guide, get in the game, learn, and shorten your learning curve, man. Like, he's got, decades of experience and he's going to shorten that all you're learning into like days or a couple hours of reading all this experience so that you don't have to make the mistakes that Jody and Michael have made. So, dude, thank you so much for jumping on today and I look forward to learning more from you guys.